People's Democratic Party describes the current fuel price hike as provocative. Northern farmers turn beggars as bandits sustain occupation of farms. All Progressive Congress governors in closed-door meeting with federal government to address hardship in the country. On business news, Gasprom ready to partner African countries on gas technology and infrastructure. On international scene, violent clashes in first of 3 days of protest called by Kenyan opposition. On sports update, New Zealand beats Norway to kickstart Women's World Cup campaign. Hello and welcome to Standard Voice Television News Channel. I'm Mr. Muhammad. The People's Democratic Party has described the 617 naira per litre price of petrol as endorsed by the All Progressive Congress as not only extortionist and provocative, but an exhibition of extreme insensitivity and callousness towards Nigerians. The party, in a statement signed by its National Public Secretary, Debo Olugbunagba, in Abuja Wednesday, cautioned that the increase in worsening the already suffocating economic situation under the APC and has the capability of triggering very serious crisis in the country if not abated. Mr. Olugbunagba said, "It is appalling that instead of seeking ways to stabilize and grow the economy, the APC administration has abandoned the welfare of Nigerians, which is the primary purpose of government under Section 14, subsection 2B of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999 as amended." He said that the party left the citizens to the vagaries of market forces and exploitative cabal. The management of the Federal University Gusau in Zamfara State has expelled and rusticated 13 students for gross misconduct in the state. In a press release issued on Wednesday in Gusau by the information officer of the university, Umar Usman, it was stated that the decision was reached at the 82nd meeting held on 5th July 2023. He disclosed that the management had considered the report and the recommendations forwarded to it by the Student Disciplinary Committee and expelled 7 students, while 6 were rusticated for gross misconduct. The affected students were found guilty of various offenses that contravene the laws and regulations governing the conduct of the students in the university. The expulsions and rustifications were conveyed on 7th July 2023 by the university's acting academic secretary, Malam Maawiya Bello, on behalf of the registrar, Malam Yakubu Audu Anivasa. The affected students were from the Departments of Educational Foundation, Business Administration, Microbiology, Economics, Science Education, Plant Science Biotechnology, and Political Science, while those who were rusticated received penalties ranging from 1 to 2 semesters. Rising banditry attacks in the northwestern part of Nigeria have led to the death of many Nigerians, while sustained occupation of many farmlands by the bandits has left many farmers in pain. Despite several measures taken by both the Zamfara state and the federal government to end banditry activities in the state, the menace has worsened with bandits raging free and wild, kidnapping and killing innocent people. Bandits are becoming stronger with the passage of time and have made about 14 local government areas of the state their home. Recently, bandits abducted at least 80 children in the Svtv local government area of the state. This happened as 31 villagers were recently killed by bandits in Jambako and Sekida villages in the Maradu local government area of the state. According to a report by SBM Intelligence, Zamfara state is a hotbed for banditry activities, and about 498 people in the state lost their lives to the activities of the terrorists in the 4th quarter of 2022. The bandits, who now move freely in large numbers on motorcycles, recently issued a strong warning to farmers, particularly those in the rural areas, that there would be no farming activities this year unless the state government negotiated with them. At the time of filing this report, more than 70% of farmlands in the state are currently abandoned due to fear of bandit attacks. The federal government and the United Nations have called for a holistic approach to achieving sustainable food chain in Nigeria. The call was made at the Pre-Food System Stock-Taking Moments media engagement on Wednesday in Abuja. The event was jointly organized by the Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning and the United Nations Information Center. Permanent Secretary Mr. Nebeolisa Anako in an address, described food system as the most complicated stomach infrastructure, with issues adding that it entails complex network that includes input and output of food, production process and consumption. According to him, food system is also about the food value chain. Mr. Anako said this is because the food produced through famine needed to pass through some stages before it goes to the stomach. The food system problem has been on transportation of food from the farm, getting the seedlings to plant till the time we plant. Down to the table to managing the waste, our effort is to reduce hunger, food insecurity and malnutrition. The MENA Operation Officer of the National Emergency Management Agency has again alerted some of those residents in Kwara State of an impending flood. Hajiya Zainab Saidu, head of NEMA MENA Operations Office, disclosed in a statement that this flooding is particularly expected in the state's Ilorin West and Ilorin East local government areas. She said the two local government areas are expected to experience high flood within the months of July and November. Hajiya Zainab said the prediction is contained in the annual flood outlook released by the Nigeria Hydrological Service Agency early in this year. Other local government areas like Patigi, Ofa, Edu and Oyun, though termed moderate flood risk areas, may also experience high level of flood from July to November. She said it is pertinent to note that Kwara State has started experiencing flood and windstorm in some of those areas, hence the need for the people to take serious precautions to avoid any further damage to properties and loss of lives. She urged residents of the state in all areas identified to ensure that drains are kept clean to avoid blockage of waterways and channels. Troops of the 192 Battalion of the Nigerian Army have intercepted a truckload of substances suspected to be Indian hemp in Ogun State. The consignment belonged to a suspected international drug smuggling syndicate. Preliminary investigations showed that the illicit substances were being transported from Ghana through Benin Republic and Igolo Idiroko in Nigeria en route Sangota. Director, Army Public Relations, Brigadier General Onyema Nwachu, stated on Wednesday that the truck was intercepted near Sangota on Tuesday. He explained that the troops acted on a tip-off and conducted stop-and-search operations on Agilete Road in Yewa South local government area of Ogun State when the truck was intercepted. He added that the troops impounded the unmarked truck loaded with 397 wraps of the substance on board. General Nwachukwu stated that a Beninese, Matthew Edegbe, and a one Mr. Joshua Danso of Idiroko in Ogun State were apprehended in connection with the seizure and were assisting in ongoing investigations. The Chief of Army Staff, Major General Tauri Lagbaja, has commended the troops for their commitment and vigilance and also urged them to sustain the momentum to rid the country of criminality. The Joint Youth Islamic Organizations Zamfara State Chapter has organized a one-day Grand Muharram lecture on 19th July 2023 at JB Secretariat, Gusau, the Zamfara State Capital.
Ta Joint Youth Islamic Organization wadda ya kasance ta kunshi kungiyoyi guda 12 tun daga Muslim Student Society of Nigeria, Muslim Foundation, Jama'at Tajdid al-Islami, Nakomio, Muslim Corpus Association, Sisters Da'awa Group, Muslim Sisters Organization, ƙungiyar malamai mata, Form Cibiyar Ihsan da Council of Ulama Yoruba Chapter, wanda ya kasance sun saba shirya wannan taro na 1 ga watan Muharram don gabatar da ita kalanda ta addinin Musulunci. A matsayin mu musulmi, ko da yaushe ya kamata mu tuna da sabuwar shekara ta addinin Musulunci ko shigowar sabuwar shekara ta addinin Musulunci tun daga wata na farko al-Muharram har zuwa Zulhijjah.
The Progressives Governors Forum has said that it is working with the federal government to address the current hardship being faced by Nigerians following the removal of fuel subsidy and the increase in petroleum pump price. Governor Hope Uzodinma of Imo State and chairman of the forum said this while addressing newsmen at the end of its closed-door meeting, which ended last Wednesday night in Abuja. Newsmen reported that the PGF is an umbrella body of state governors elected on the All Progressive Congress platform. Governor Uzodinma described the meeting as successful, saying it discussed ongoings in the part and other national issues. The current hardship occasioned by the price increase on both food, petroleum products, and cost of living is being addressed. The governor added that the National Executive Councils will discuss further on how to address the development to lessen the burden on the citizenry when it meets. The PGF chairman assured that the governors would effectively utilize their federal allocation in the best interest of the people. President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, has assured Nigerian workers of the readiness of the government to review the salaries of its workers as a move towards cushioning the effect of the removal of fuel subsidy. The President of the Senate gave the assurance while receiving in courtesy the Governor of Ekiti State, Abiodun Oyebanji, and members of the National Assembly from the state. Senator Akpabio also noted that the removal of fuel subsidy by the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu-led administration was to address corruption in the petroleum sector, saying the removal of fuel subsidy was the beginning of fighting corruption in the system. According to him, Nigeria as a country would not have survived the next few years if the fuel subsidy had not been removed, adding that salaries and wages of workers would be reviewed in order to ensure that Nigerians have a living wage. Speaking further, Senator Akpabio told the governor that the Senate is very proud of their representatives in the 10th National Assembly. Speaking earlier, the Ekiti State Governor Abiodun Oyebanji commended the President of the Senate for his achievements in office the last 1 month. Now on business news. Gasprom, Russia's energy company, has expressed readiness to partner African countries on gas infrastructure and technology. Mr. Dmitry Stratov, Deputy Director General, Prospective Development, Gasprom, Dobicha Nadim, said this while briefing some African journalists and experts on Wednesday shortly before a tour of the company's facilities. Mr. Stratov said the company would not apply for license but was willing to go into partnership with African countries to develop gas infrastructure. Gasprom, a state-owned energy corporation with sales of over $120 billion, is ranked as the largest natural gas company in the world and the largest company in Russia by revenue. Mr. Stratov said Gasprom was established in 1971 by the order of the Russian Ministry of Gas Industry, number 116, with 14 branches. In his presentation on the Gas Heart of Arctic, he dwelt on the company's gas production in Bovanenkovskoye oil, gas and condensate facilities, which he said comprised 18 fields, accounting for 20.4 trillion cubic meter of gas and 1 billion tons of gas condensate and oil. Reports gathered that the journalists and experts were conducted around the Bovanenkovskoye field by Stratov and other officials of the company. Now on international news.
Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
The opposition party in Kenya has called for 3 days of countrywide protests aimed at forcing the president to repeal a finance law imposing new taxes. Mr. Ruto had vowed that no protests would take place, saying he would take opposition leader Raila Odinga head-on. According to a police officer who spoke on condition of anonymity, as he was not authorized to speak to the media, 4 protesters were injured in the Mathare area of the capital, Nairobi. The Associated Press witnessed 1 man shot in the shoulder and 2 others shot in the leg in Mathare. In the city of Nakuru, Nakuru Referral Hospital Medical Superintendent James Waweru confirmed that 4 people came in with gunshot wounds, 2 of them shot in the abdomen, 1 in the chest and another 1 in the leg while the fifth person had been caught and wounded.
Whatever we earn, we spend it on food. Right now, there is no work going on. We're suffering. I plead with the government to deal with the cost of living. President Ruto and Raila Odinga should talk. Ruto is doing wrong by chest thumping. I do not support the protests, nor do I support the cost of living. It's good for people to look for other means, like dialogue, and come up with solutions. Loss of lives and destruction of property will not help and will cause more harm. We have seen people dying and property being destroyed. It's devastating.
Now on sports update. New Zealand have kicked off their FIFA Women's World Cup campaign with a huge win over Norway in Group A. Hannah Wilkinson was the hero on the night, scoring the only goal of the game to help the football fans to a first ever win at any edition of the tournament. A tentative opening brought few chances from either side, with Norway creating more in spite of New Zealand's relentless press. Frida Manum was on the end of the first clear-cut opportunity, but her effort sailed over the bar. Caroline Graham Hansen demonstrated her pace on the wing, picking up the ball in her own half and progressing to the byline, holding off two defenders before laying it off to Ada Hagerberg. The striker looked to cushion the ball into the bottom corner, but for a last-ditch challenge from Rebecca Stott. The football fans would find the breakthrough just minutes into the second period. Just 5 passes from goalkeeper to striker were needed, with Wilkinson finishing emphatically beyond Aurora Mikkelsen between the sticks. Still in sports news, Habila Mutla, General Manager, Plateau United Football Club of Jos, has warned players and staff of the club against laxity and acts of indiscipline. Mr. Mutla gave the warning on Wednesday in Jos when he addressed the players and staff after the team resumed training ahead of the new season. He said that laziness would not be tolerated, adding that those who are not serious would give way to people waiting in the wings for an opportunity. He advised anyone whose heart is not with the team to leave immediately because they will not tolerate any act that may be inimical to the progress of the club. He told the technical crew that this year is going to be the year for Plateau United because they are ready for the battle to be on top. And that's all we have on news updates for today. But before we go, a recap of the major headlines. People's Democratic Party describes the current fuel price hike as provocative. Northern farmers turn beggars as bandits sustain occupation of farms. All Progressive Congress governors in closed-door meeting with federal government to address hardship in the country. On business news, Gasprom ready to partner African countries on gas technology and infrastructure. On international scene, violent clashes in first of 3 days of protest called by Kenyan opposition. On sports updates, New Zealand beat Norway to kickstart Women's World Cup campaign. Thanks for watching. That's all on the news. I'm Muhammad saying bye for now.